Thank you for joining CU Bands and Fans podcast. Our podcast is brought to you by Homegrown KIO. Homegrown KIO is on Sunday nights at 7 p.m. It is a stellar show featuring the great songs that have come from bands originating in Champaign-Urbana. Listen at 107.9 on your FM dial, at 1079WKIO.com, or ask Alexa to play WKIO. Welcome to CU Bands and Fans podcast, where musicians tell their story. Our guest is Timothy Taylor of Absentstate Productions out of Monticello, Illinois, and we've got a lot to talk about with that because he just opened his new studio and had the grand opening on Sunday, this past Sunday. So we're going to talk about how that went. And we also have with us Syris, who we've had her on a podcast alone before, not very long ago, a few months back. And that was such a fantastic podcast. And she had so much to say and so much to give. So I hope that everyone tuned into that. And I will attach that podcast to this one as well, so that you could be refreshed. But I'm very excited to have you guys as our guest and to have you together, because from what I understand, you guys work together.
Yes, that's correct. And thank you for having us. My first time on here and excited.
It's good to be back. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So let's begin with Tim. Let's begin with you, Tim.
Sure.
Did you begin this recording thing? Are you a musician? How did this all start for you?
Okay. Well, to take it back all the way to probably when I was 11 or 12, I had kind of dabbled around with friends that had played guitar. You know, I picked it up and kind of got interested in it. Then one day I went to my parents and I just broke down and begged them for a guitar, you know, like for my birthday. That's all I wanted, was just like a Squire Fender. And whenever my birthday rolled around, they had surprised me with a guitar. I think they said something like back then they had to make, I think it was like $100 or something. They had to make like 4 payments at the time because of how, you know, hard off we were at the time.
Yeah.
But it's just incredible looking back, because like that consumed my life and kind of, you know, became something that I just gravitated towards for hours a day. I actually used to have this little tape recorder. My recording journey actually started with a tape recorder that I just put up next to my guitar amp, and I'd start playing, you know, some guitar riffs and then playing it back, rewinding it, and doing some leads over it. So that's kind of where it all began. Then I played in bands. I played in a band in high school, and then I left that band in 2010 to kind of pursue learning audio, and I did that from home. And then I had one recording, I guess you could call it a business. It wasn't really anything of a business like this is now, but it was under a different name. And I one day was like, I need to change this name. It's way too long. I need something that's a little bit more catchy, something that means a little bit more. So that was like 2016, and that's where Absent State came from. Kind of was just like the description of how I felt doing music. You kind of get in that absent state of mind, and it just kind of clicked with me. I'm like, oh, absent state, perfect. That's where the name came from.
Yeah, that's perfect. How did you and Syris connect?
Well, we first connected, I'd heard from many people, you know, talking about Paige White, and I heard that name thrown around a lot over the years. I think initially it was there's a guy that I work with. He does the dark history and horror conventions. His name is Brian Ward, and he had mentioned it to me years ago, and I'd heard it from someone else too. But I think I don't remember if I reached out to you or if you reached out to me, but this wasn't until like 2018?
Probably about then, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, we had gotten in touch, and then we had just set up a session, and we did like I told her I had this cover that another client had passed up on. I said, do you want to try it out? so she hopped on that, and we put that out, and then we had lost touch, I think maybe around COVID.
Yeah.
And then it picked back up kind of like maybe that year after COVID, or maybe it was during the later half of 2020.
Yeah.
I
It
can't
was about a
remember.
year later.
Yeah, and we got back in touch, and then it was like wildfire. We just started writing and just doing things every weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Timing is everything.
Yeah.
And
It is.
I know Cyrus spoke very highly of you, and being her like inspiration and encouragement, and just kind of like she said the same thing. She said like the connection was just fire, and you guys
Yeah.
just boom, just went for it. And so, how many songs have you recorded together?
Altogether, we've recorded in full, I think 4.
Yeah. We're working on the 5th one right now.
Yeah. We're actually she's been writing like a storm, like crazy. So she's been writing tons of lyrics on like she'll come to me with those. I'm like, okay, I think I might have an instrumental for that or something I can work on. And so I think the plan is, without giving too much away, we're talking about an EP release this year. We've got a date in mind, but we just want to make sure we narrow in on that and kind of make sure we can get that done in that time.
How many songs are going to be on that? Do you know?
I'd say probably like 5 or 6.
Wow. She did mention that she just began to write, like, it's just flowing out of her. Right, Cyrus?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tim really helped me with that a lot.
Yeah, she gave you credit for that. That's for sure. I do remember that podcast.
Yeah.
Like I told him sometimes he needs something to spark the flame, and that's what he did for me. So like, it really brought me out of a very, very, very long writer's block, and I'm excited about it.
It's exciting. It really is, to connect with somebody else and that can like bring that out of you, and then record it for her. That's perfect. So where did you do this pre your studio?
It's had a few different iterations. I think the one that we started, Absent State, after I had changed the name, started in an apartment that I had in Fisher. And it kind of started out slow. I had maybe like 1 or 2 people that I would record and write for. Then it started to kind of pick up, and then we started doing our own stuff, and then it kind of started to really build traction to the point to where it was kind of becoming an issue recording out of an apartment. We had a couple issues with a neighbor that, noise complaints, obviously, and it's understandable completely. It's like, when people would come through, middle of the night to come and record, I could totally get that if someone's got to work in the morning.
Yeah.
But
that
we
led
had
you...
the sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, finish your...
I was just gonna say that I made the decision to move out of that apartment a little bit over a year ago, and moved to Monticello in pursuit of a space. So I left a job that I was at last year, a job that I wasn't really happy with. Then I started another job here or in Urbana, and just kind of let things happen naturally. But having that change of scenery, I think, really opened up and showed me all the distractions and things that I was letting get in the way, to where none of this would have been possible if I would have just stayed. I think all that stuff kind of happens for a reason. I needed to make this transition, this move.
Yeah. And you did this, and so then your grand opening was Sunday.
Yes.
How did that go? And what was all involved in that? And where is the location? And now, is this studio, you don't live there, right? Or is it?
No.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
practically I do, but
oh yeah.
This we had, so over the weekend, Saturday, they had the Whites of Spring, I believe it's called, where people can buy a ticket and they can get They can go around to all the local businesses and get a sample of wine. So we decided to participate in that the day before the grand opening to kind of build some buzz. That was pretty insane. Paige can attest to that. We were, we were kind of just dead there for a minute, and then like all of a sudden, there's hundreds of people showing up, coming through the door, and we're like, oh, all right then.
They liked our space too, so that
Mm-hmm.
gave us good confidence.
Yeah, and then there were some people that came back the next day. The grand opening was amazing. It was, I couldn't have asked for a better grand opening. We had some people that came back, some really, really friendly people that we met, and some people that were in the music scene for a long time. They've been in it for decades. That were they were very they had a lot of positive things to say about our space. And we met a lot of people that we're going to stay in contact with and set some things up with. So I think overall, yeah, it was a really good experience.
And you're in a really cool location, around Champaign-Urbana.
Yeah, and the good thing is, like, even if people don't want to come and record here, we've kind of built up our services over the years and gotten more into like video and photography and graphic design and stuff that we can outsource to a lot of creative people within our team. So that I've been really proud of being able to expand that. So that way it's not like we're just offering, we're not just offering one thing. If you have one thing covered, well, maybe we can help you with another area.
Okay. So speaking of video, Syris, aren't you going to do a music video? Didn't you mention that?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, that's coming up.
Yeah. And are you going to do that, Tim?
Yes. So the only thing that actually held us off was actually getting the space, because we were getting ready to start shooting. And then the whole reason we got into the space to begin with was I have a longtime friend of mine out of Houston, Texas. And, he reached out to me one day. We went and had a meeting over near Chicago. We're kind of talking about business, because he's doing very well for himself. He's built a successful business, and he's invested in a lot of businesses and made them, pretty successful. So the whole reason that we're actually in this space now is thanks to him. He actually invested in us and became a 50-50 partner in the whole ordeal. So we all have him to thank for that. But that's the whole reason we got kind of held up with the video shoot, because we were renovating this space for like the past month and a half. And now I think we've got our sights set back on starting at the end of this month for the shoot.
Oh, nice. I can't wait to see that video. And what song is that going to be too?
Rejects.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Because when you were talking about that, I was so excited. I was like, I can't, this is going to be fantastic. So that's exciting that that you're doing that. I cannot wait for that video to come out.
Yeah,
so,
we are also holding some auditions for some key players or some extras that, if they want to be a part of the video. We're actually holding those auditions in our office on May 27th from 4 to 7. It's either 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. or 4 p.m. to 6 p.m.
Okay, I'm glad you mentioned that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then we'll also like post that you're going to be doing that. Are you in the studio full time now? I mean, you mentioned a job, but are you there, like, what hours are you there? Just whenever you need to be, or?
Yeah. As of right now, I work until 2 most days. So generally I will spend from 3 o'clock to 8 or 9 o'clock here. So usually by the time I get off work, that's just enough for me to like quickly hop in the shower, change out of my clothes and get here. Thankfully, a lot of the things that we offer are kind of just by appointment. So I can know ahead of time and, let my current job know, like, hey, I can't do this day. But no, eventually I really hope this becomes full time.
Yeah, well, it sounds like it just may.
Yeah.
And
it's exciting.
Syris, what about you? Like, as far as full-time music and that kind of thing, how do you think that's something that you'll be able to achieve? Are you doing that now?
No, I mean, I don't have any like full-time job right now, unfortunately. So I'm not like actually tied to anything. I'm doing stage hand work a little bit. I just started that. Um, Anything in between. Obviously, it's all of our goals for sure to make it to that point. Like yes, I am going to be there 110%. And heck, my goal would be in the next like sorry about that. Within the next year, I would love to be like really taking off on this, all of us, because we are a core team. Um, there's like 4 or 5 of us artists that are just core together. And I think if we really keep kicking it, definitely we can do it full time. And I hope to do that very, very soon. So I'm just going to keep manifesting and hoping that can happen.
Yeah, I love your positive attitude and your outlook about it. Your
Yeah.
determination and all of that. 'Cause you went through so much, and I mean, in our last podcast, you talked about. I mean, you talked about your story. You gave your story, the hard parts, the easy parts, all of it, and how you were bullied and all of that. So it's so amazing to see you just have this vibrancy and outlook and determination and zeal and excitement and all of it, and to be writing music. Finally that dam broke and that river's flowing and you're just moving with it. And how awesome is it to have somebody like Tim be able to kind of like build that foundation with you and help launch you.
It's a dream come true, honestly. He is exactly what I've been looking for my entire life. And I love that I've been able to write more lyrics, because not only am I going to utilize that for myself, but I'm going to utilize that for the company, for our future clients. So like, I am just knocking song after song out, trying to expand my skills in songwriting so they're not as cheesy as what I've been doing before. I'm not the proudest of what I've personally been able to do. I want more like creative phrases, and I've been knocking that out the park, and I'm really happy about that. So anything that I can take off Tim's hands too and help him out with, I'm excited to do, because he does a lot, and he's going to be teaching me a lot of things too, and I'm really excited about that.
So you're part of the team he's talking about.
Yes.
Okay. I did not know that until we got to rolling, and I was like, oh, okay, this is okay.
So we're like a core family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So how many? Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's
we've
fine.
Just become best friends. We've become best friends, and we've done so much together. We've helped Tim build this up into the beautiful company that it is, and we just help each other out and have each other's backs. There's about 4 or 5 of us. Mm-hmm. Tim is the main one. He's the first one. Tim, introduce yourself as who you are.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I guess you could call me the CEO. It still feels cheesy to me. It doesn't, like, running a business now. It's kind of surreal. So I don't necessarily mean cheesy, but just it's kind of like, got to take it all in. So I guess, yeah, I'd be the CEO. And then we have our investor out of Houston, who is a partner. So he owns 50% of Absent State, and we'll hear more from him probably at the end of, I think you said the end of July. He will be down here for about a month, so that'll be really exciting because the rest of the team will get to meet him. We have a couple other members of the team. Meredith, who has actually another artist. She goes by Sincerely Mayor. We have some volunteers on the photography department. We've got a guy that I work with named Larry. He volunteers with photography and the video. Obviously, Paige and Jocelyn are both core members of the team. They've been here to kind of help me figure out creative aspects and kind of help guide me into organization. And Jocelyn, she's been actually pretty helpful with lyrics too. Even while Paige was kind of having that blockage, I know that Jocelyn helped her a lot with lyrics and getting that kind of squared away for her. And then we also have I've got my family. They're actually pretty excited with everything. So My mom is kind of the event coordinator as far as events go, and she's, love her or hate her at times, she can get a little stressful, but she does a damn good job.
We
And
love you, Tanya.
yeah, she's going to be handling a lot of future services that we're launching, a lot of really, really cool things, and I think she's really going to make this place pop, as she would say.
I think I absolutely just love this because, well, first of all, you guys are, you're young, and you're building this thing that is just seems like it's just going to be a monster, so just
We hope so.
ready for that kind of growth.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that's what you're doing right now is you're like preparing yourselves and getting people in order and everything in place. And it's so cool to have this locally.
Yeah.
And do you envision this being like you having like the core place and then like having different kind of in different areas?
Yeah, so that was definitely discussed with my partner, my business partner. He had mentioned, kind of like, I guess, like a 5-year plan or something. Basically, I guess essentially taking what we build and kind of like turning it into maybe a brand that's kind of geared towards collaborators. He had talked about like pop-up shops or, even just pop-up studios in Chicago and Houston. I mean, all this stuff, that just sounds wild to me because like, that'd be a dream. So I would think that if things go the way that they have been with the responses that we've been getting and kind of the things that we have on our future palette, I really do think that we can build something extraordinary with this.
Let me ask you something about recording artists. Um, For instance, I know with Syris that it goes on all platforms. Are you the one that or is that Syris that does this, or both work together? But what is your plan in recording artists as far as distribution?
Oh, okay. Yeah, so with all their music, we all distribute through we use a service called DistroKid. Anybody that comes to record with me, I give them the option if they want, they can use our referral. They can get a discount to use it, and we can help them with distribution, but we don't like push anybody to distribute through us if they don't want to, because we're not necessarily a publishing label as it is. Well, I mean, we publish the stuff that we do in house together as a team, but if anybody wants to release, through whatever means they want, then by all means, we don't want to stop them. Same with like, even if they want to record here and they don't want to mix or master with us, we're more than happy to provide them with their raw stems, send them off with like a USB drive or, put it in the cloud storage for them so they can do what they want with it. We don't want to limit anybody from, being able to do with what they want with their creations.
Now that's awesome.
It's important too.
That's going to kind of that sets you apart a little bit, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I just wanted to know that about distribution because I'm I'm fascinated with distribution. I think
Yeah.
I'm fascinated, and I'm also like I want to always be a part of helping get things distributed and all of that. So it's always in my mind, like, how does all that work? Are you guys the ones that launch that and push that, or is it the artist that gets there once it's recorded and they have their masters or whatever, they go and push it themselves and put it on whatever platforms? I've just always been curious as to if that's on the level.
Thankfully, a lot of these services they handle, like for example, one of the hot topic things is usage of samples or usage of covers, or doing covers. Licensing covers is actually really easy through these guys that we use. You basically pay, I think it's like $14 a year per song, and you get the cover license, and then they pay out the royalties, like a 20% percentage or something to the original artist. So you don't have to worry about getting any sort of licensing yourself. They kind of handle all that stuff for you, and they give you a lot of tools for support and getting verified, like getting verified on Apple Music, all of that stuff. So it's been really cool. I haven't really messed with a lot of other distributors, so I don't really know how well they compare to DistroKid. But
Well, that's what you just said about the license and the cover. That's interesting. I'd not heard. I'd
oh
not
yeah,
heard. Yeah, that's kind of a different. I mean, that's good information to
yeah,
know.
yeah. Because you know, I mean, the copyright is such a
Mhm.
a hot button issue, especially just like, for example, we just had an issue with our Facebook page the other day, and we don't know for sure if this was an issue or not, but we ran into an issue where we were getting copyright strikes on our own songs, and it just was a matter of misunderstanding. It was a matter of these algorithms that they have, they kind of false flag things, um, because it's kind of hard unless you're like an established entity, which we're just now becoming. We're putting stuff on our Facebook that's not verified with its blue check mark and all of that. However, the distributor that we use is checking to make sure that pages like that aren't verified aren't taking our music. So it's kind of a mixed bag. You got to find a way to whitelist yourself, which thankfully, talking to our distributor and all that, we were able to get that sorted. And then it's, you just always got to kind of or be mindful, not weary, of what you're using if you use any sort of samples, and just make sure that your content is covered, especially if you need to copyright your own material. That's another thing that we can kind of assist with, showing people how to go through like BMI or ASCAP or anything like that.
Yeah, that's another. Yeah, that's another. See, all that information is important, and to have at least knowledge of that, or to know how to navigate an artist through that,
Mm.
or give them some information to help them as they're going through it. That's crucial. I love that you have that knowledge. Just like I said, like I've talked to a lot of musicians, and we've talked a lot about platforms and social media and all that kind of thing. And nobody's made mention of that you can do covers if you pay this. And I'm sure there's some that it's just not allowed. There's some
Oh,
artists,
sure.
I don't want you to sing my music, period. It's not, you're going to get
Mm.
copyright for it. So is there a list or something? Or
Um,
do you,
there's not really a list. I'm not sure. We've never really run into that kind of issue, but that would be an interesting rebuttal, I guess, because I wonder how that does work.
yeah,
Essentially, what they do is they just license it for you, and they give you the contract, and then I don't know if there has to be like, if there's a disagreement from the third party, if they just refund your money and that's it, or what the
yeah,
case is. I've never
yeah,
run into that though. That's interesting.
it is interesting. But I like the answers that you had for everything else, and bringing that up. I appreciate that so
Hmm.
much. You are on a lot of platforms. I went to your Facebook page, which is Absent State Productions,
Hmm.
and you are on a lot of platforms. So I just
Yeah.
just like cut and pasted them like onto, so that everyone knows that all of the
Mhm.
links will be on this podcast. So you will be able to locate Tim at Absent State Productions with no problem. You should not have any. I will have the email, the phone number, all the platforms, and same with Syris and her music. She's already got some music recorded. It's out there. It's on these different platforms, and we'll have the links to that as well, so you can hear, her music, and also go and follow. Not only like. Don't go over and just like the page. I mean, that's fine if you do that, but if you hit like follow or favorites, and take it off of default, that helps. That helps the
Mhm.
artist, it helps the business, it helps everybody. Take that thing off of default. That's important. A lot of people
Yeah.
just don't.
A
Yeah.
good thing about a lot of the stuff that we have coming up is on our page, specifically on our Facebook. one of the incentives to follow us is we're going to be doing a lot of giveaways, and we're talking like merch, we're talking gift cards, we're talking all sorts of things. So a lot of incentives for you to follow and kind of see where things end up. We're also going to be holding a lot of events too. Like we're going to be it's still in the works. We're talking some sort of like talent night or some sort of, showcase your art night. We're going to have movie fests coming up. One in specific, not until October, but it's a film fest that I used to do at my own home for years. We just kind of watch some schlocky bad B movies, but it's one of the greatest times. And we'll have that. We'll have auditions for short film projects that we're doing, and there's just a ton of stuff that's going to be coming. So we're really excited.
I love this because I posted something about Monticello. It must have been on our event list as something was going on there. And somebody commented on our page and they were like, we would love to see your presence more in Monticello. And I said, well, I go to Monticello. I guess I kind of didn't immediately know what did she mean. And she goes, no, I mean, like for you to be there and for like, let's have some more music. Let's have some more this and that. So you're kind of the answer to that.
Yeah. Our door is open anytime you want to come down.
Yeah.
And we can, if you want to be a part of any events, we're always looking for people and community to kind of help spread the word and kind of, be a part of this thing because we all want to grow together, right?
Yeah. You can count on us to whatever events you got going on. You'll be on the event list, no doubt.
On.
And I think I shared a few things today. And you've got, so let's talk about, you say it, psychogenic.
Psychogenic. Yes.
Okay. Let me first say that psychogenic is a song that you've done, right?
Yes.
And so I'm gonna let everybody know that that's going to be that you will hear that. It will be the intro to this podcast, and then at the end of this podcast, we'll have aviation play all the way through. But let's talk about that aviation and.
Sure. So yeah, I I write a little bit. Paige can attest to this. I write a little too much music for my own good sometimes, to where I've got like hard drives full.
And, he does.
Eventually, I got to the point where I just kind of sat down and I was like, I'm just going to release this stuff instrumental. There's not really much that I'm doing with it. So I probably should have started sooner because I got a lot on my back catalog, but I started in 2022, I think, or maybe it was 2022. Yeah, that was last year, right? Last year, I put out an EP called Concrete Jungle. It was only 6 tracks. It's kind of like lo-fi-ish, like experimental electronic music. And then I followed that up this year with Concrete Jungle Volume 2, which was kind of like an elevation of that. So that's where aviation is from. Aviation is kind of like thematically the story of a kid who aspires, to visit space or to, visit aerospace, or, he's just got a fascination with aviation and I guess, just flying. So it kind of tells this tale thematically about that growth. Just to me, that's what the emotion felt like when I was writing it. And Psychogenic, on the other hand, is just a quirky kind of like throwback to almost early 2000s drum and bass that you'd kind of hear on like a PlayStation 1 game or something. Just something I kind of was like, it's fun, it's quirky, but it's also a little bit weird. So that actually comes out on the 27th of this month. I mean, it's on YouTube now. There's a visualizer video, but you can get it on all other platforms on the 27th.
Okay, so let me say this, and I want to go back to the music video. If somebody wanted to use your music, for instance, I'm always looking for, especially instrumental, for what I'm doing. when I'm doing my photography and I'm using it in a like in a slideshow or in a
Sure.
little video for my client, then I'm always looking for some certain type to fit the mode and the mood of the photo shoot.
Yeah.
So what would it take if I were to say, hey, I wanted to use aviation? I need to use aviation. Can I use that? What would it take to do that? And is that allowed? Will you sell your music like that, or?
You said, yeah, I don't mind if anybody uses my music. The only thing, like I said, with like the copyright things that we dealt with earlier, what we'd have to do is put you on what's called a whitelist. So you'd give us the link to the video that you are using the music in, and we would include that link in our whitelist to where you don't get flagged for that, you don't get demonetized for that. We just have like a directory, because there's actually a good friend of mine. She does book reviews on YouTube, and she commissioned some music for me last year. If you can check her out on YouTube, it's Super Blomper. I'll make sure I get that right. It should be youtube.com/Super Blomper.
BLOMPER.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So she commissioned some music from the first EP, and I've told her, if you want to ever use more music from our other EPs, you're more than welcome. We just have to put you on a whitelist. So yeah, it's more. I'm more than happy to provide that for people. I don't really, for these, I'm not really charging at the moment, so I just want my music to kind of get out there.
Do you sell your music? When you put it on platforms, is it like they can download for so much?
Yeah. They can either purchase it or stream it. Either way, we're getting some sort of percentage of profit. Granted, it's not much with streaming, but the more you output, I think the more you have the chance of building up that repertoire and kind of building up your profits. Anything that we make ends up going back into the business itself anyway.
Yeah. Now, Paige, do you sell your music, right? Is your stuff on a platform that can be bought?
It goes all through Absent State, which is like just the kind of thing that's the difference between our core team and then just like people coming in. Our core team, we're kind of just doing it to help each other out and help ourselves out and just be a part of the company, if that makes sense. So yeah, what I make goes to him and the company, and just to do anything to make it better. At least for now, until we're all making bank with it. But yeah. The important thing is that we're just getting each other's names out there, getting our own names out there. That's literally all we care about. So.
And this recording that you've got coming up, is that going to be a tangible recording or digital or all?
Oh, for her EP?
Oh, you mean like physical or digital? Yeah. Physical, that would be a dream for us to do one day, but right now we're just doing digital stuff. We don't have the means to really do that at the moment.
I mean, there's always the crowdfunding aspect of it too, which has always been something I would consider. If people want to have like physical copies, we could kind of do some sort of crowdfunding thing for that. But another thing I've seen too is like a big resurgence of cassette, and I would be really interested in doing like a limited run of whatever we could do your EP. I just want to do one at least on a cassette.
That would be really sick.
Yeah.
That would be amazing. And because I just bought a vehicle that does not have a CD player, but it has a cassette player.
Oh, really?
We'll make one just for you.
Yeah, yes. There we go.
So
perfect demographic.
That would be amazing. And I've got, a lot of my old school cassettes. And then Jacob Scott, who's a musician, he brought me like just a ton of cassettes. And I'm like, I love this so much. I love it as much as vinyl, but I love vinyl more. But yeah, having a cassette player in my vehicle is so awesome. So if you did a cassette, like I'm down for that. Like buy it from you.
Might be something we definitely consider for sure.
Yeah. You need to do that. Yeah, you've got a lot of really cool things going on. I'm very excited. You know, congrats are in order for as far as you guys have come and where you're going. Like, I think you guys are just like a rocket, you know. So
I hope so.
It's the calm
know,
before the storm.
yeah, yeah. And you know, just don't get discouraged if you do kind of dip into a little bit of a lull when the excitement kind of starts to wane or whatever, because first of all, in this podcast, I'm really impressed with, I love the way that you had that information that you were knew about those kind of things. That's so important, I think, in somebody that records for you or records your music. And then the video and the photography. It's like, I'm a photographer. That's how we began our page is I photographed bands, and then I created a page and put them on there, and then boom, off we went. It was just it's been a wild ride, and it's been amazing. But so like are you talking about like photography of what, like covers for their, I mean, what kind of photography are you talking about?
Yeah, generally just a wide range of photography. I guess our core focus is like promo shots and for album covers as well, because we also have graphic design that we could offer for people for their album covers or logos, or even for brands, you know, businesses that need a brand logo. We have, I think, 3 or 4 really, really talented graphic artists that all their styles are different from one another, to where we could give them these portfolios to people and be like, you know, we have this style, or this, and they can kind of choose what they prefer. Eventually, we will be breaking out photography, because we do event photography mainly, but we will be breaking out to do more like you know, senior photos. I don't know about weddings just yet. I've done one wedding so far and it was kind of a nightmare. But I guess with, you know, when it's just you, now that I have a team behind me, you know, I don't have to, I can alleviate some of that pressure.
Yeah,
But
weddings, I do. I've done a ton. This year. I've got 2 coming, which I'm happy about. I'm always excited to do them, but it's such a long day, and you're at, you know, rightfully so, because they're paying you good money, but you're at their mercy the entire but it's a lot of fun. It's great to do that. But I'm an event shooter as well, and I'm the city center's photographer for all the events, and then plus our own, what we do, you know, for musicians and all that kind of thing. But so you're talking about expanding, not just with music, but with just everything.
Yeah, because everything that we offer, we have like our umbrella services, and we offer, you know, bullet points to each service of like what we can do and things that we're going to be outsourcing. And there's a lot of people that I have in mind once things really start to take, you know, build up steam, that I would like to offer them the ability to outsource, and they could kind of handle more of those aspects and kind of take that away from us having to do that. Like the core team here, we can outsource to other areas.
So you mentioned before we hit record on this podcast, you mentioned having a podcast or possibly doing a podcast.
Yeah, we actually have, I guess, technically 2 that we know for sure coming, and one is going to be just the absent state focused podcast. We'll probably get on here and talk about our process, maybe, you know, talk about what we do whenever we are creating, I guess, kind of like what our mindset is with it. We'll just really dive into the creative process, and we'll probably have guests. That's something that's going to be workshopped, but we plan to try and do it like at least once a week, if not every other week. And then Paige is going to be helming a really, really cool podcast, which I'm going to try and be as involved as I can be, but she's going to be doing a paranormal podcast. And now the twist with the paranormal podcast is where we're trying to get it to where on location she can shoot. And I guess what would be the hotspot area, we can set up the area that's probably, I guess, the most haunted, and see if they can get through an entire podcast without any sort of electrical interference or batteries being drained or anything like that. It's kind of like a test, I guess, in a way.
Yeah, they're talking. My mom is talking about sending me to Sally House for my birthday, which is if you know what that is, I hope you know. It's terrifying. It's one of the most haunted locations in the country, so that would be a good time for us to film something like that.
Some pilot episode right there.
Yeah. Yes.
You'll probably have Zach Woodrup as a listener. He does all that. He does all that kind of stuff. But okay, so what you have coming up is a music video, an EP with Syris, and you have a May 27th from 4 to 7 will be a auditioning type of thing for anyone who music video.
Yes, we also have one on the 20th, and that is for a short form horror film that we're working on.
Oh my gosh.
We're just doing a lot. I know it sounds crazy. And
I guess that's called productions.
Yeah. And lastly, we haven't really announced the name yet, but we are working on a cooking show for a network television or a television network that's going to be syndicated, I guess, with Roku and Tubi. So that more details on that will come soon. We just filmed the pilot 2 weeks ago, and so we're still in the editing process of the pilot, and then we're just waiting on our contract. And I think it's like it should be a 10 episode deal for the first season.
So is this, and I'm going to come and see your studio and all of that.
Sure.
Like I'll get with you and we'll arrange a time when we can come and visit that. And
absolutely.
We'll run some video and just of the visit and all that. Are you going to do her video there?
One specific, because we're going to be doing it a few different locations. There's one specific set of shots I know that we're going to do against either the backdrop of our projector or one of our backdrops, our photo backdrops. And it's going to be, we're going to be projecting images onto her from the projector. That's about the only thing we're going to shoot here. Other than that, it's going to be kind of like on location, like in different areas. One of the locations we need to kind of like emulate a house party. So I'm trying to figure out how to go about that. Like, we got to have like a big old house party with people, slamming beers, but
really easy.
we'll have to, we'll have to figure that out.
Shouldn't be too hard.
Right.
No, the projector idea, that's interesting because I had that idea that I'm going to do a music video with David Woolridge. And that was one of the ideas, was him being downtown where he lives. And I have a projector on him running, of him, the history days, and then against brick wall in the alley. I like your creative mind.
Thank you.
Very cool. Well, everyone, it's been an absolute, we're going to wrap this up, but it's been just so informational and incredible. And so I just want to let everybody know that if they would like a tour of Absent State Productions, that the phone number and everything was going to be on this podcast, and they can go to your Facebook page as well and find all of your social media lined up, which is fantastic. And you don't have to search for it. And there's a phone number that you can call. And I guess
it depends on who the email hits first, because we all kind of get forwarded the emails. But normally we have either myself or Meredith handling bookings. But even Paige, she's got, if you just email Paige White at absentstate.com, you can get a hold of her that way as well.
Okay.
So then we all have the Absent State. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. If somebody says, hey, I want to come and check out your studio, they can get it, come by.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Absolutely. I will say that if people want to come and do a consultation, we will accept consultations as well if they're curious about our services. We do have a $25 consultation fee, but if you choose to work with us, that actually gets applied to your project balance. But that way, if you decide, we come and spend an hour with you and you decide, maybe it's not for you, then we're not out our time. I guess that's the best way that we figured could work to kind of help us out.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
But if you guys want a tour, the tour like that is nothing. We can give you a tour, pro bono, I guess, as they say.
I'm gonna come. I'm gonna come. Like,
Yes, we need you down here.
Do a tour, definitely. And then again, everyone, what events are going to be happening there, we will also have those on our page on the event list. So there's no way you can miss any of this. But thank you so much, you guys, for being on here. And I look forward to 6 months, maybe a year from now, doing another one. Let's find out where you're at.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we should make this like definitely a routine thing.
It would be nice to come back for a Christmas one, because we always we used to do these Christmas parody videos. We're gonna be bringing those back this year. So people that are fans of us from back in the day will know what we're talking about.
Awesome. Yeah. So you got like probably already a following for that kind of a
thing. Yeah, it's kind of one of our like niche things that was a thing that we wanted to do recurring. COVID kind of interrupted that for a bit, but we're bringing it back. So
yeah, well, it sounds like you're just really getting into the full swing.
Yeah,
I'm really happy to have had you on here and to be able to share and let people aware and make them aware of what all you got going on, and your teamwork and the whole thing. It's awesome. And I think Monticello is probably pretty darn happy about it too. If they're not, they should be. So anyway, it's been great. Stay tuned, everyone, and go ahead and listen to all of Aviation by Absent State. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.